Hi, listeners. We're back with LFG with ANF, Amir, your host, and friends. And let's introduce you to your co-host, Keenan Fry.
Hey, what's up? This is Keenan. I'm back. You guys can't get rid of me. I'm like the fucking cockroach. So, I'm like herpes. I go away and come back worse. All right. All right.
That is your illustrious co-host, Keenan Fry.
All right.
And in addition to Keenan today, we got a really special guest in the house. We've got Amanda Rocks,
Hi.
the artist and karaoke queen herself, is here gracing us with her presence. Say hi to everyone, Amanda.
Hello, everyone. Amanda.
Beautiful. See, you're getting a taste of Amanda's personality right off the bat. So yeah, today, we're gonna have a really interesting topic to talk about with everybody. We're gonna start it off today with traveling, something everybody can relate to, and we're gonna talk about the differences of traveling pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic. And sort of the things that we've witnessed and, each of us has gone through and what we've collectively, gotten from it. So I'll kick it off. I recently traveled to Vegas with some friends for my birthday weekend last weekend. And I got to say, it was really interesting to see the difference between how the different airports handled different things like the electronics and the liquids now. Like, for example, SFO, actually not SFO, apologies, Oakland Airport, where I flew out of, they were really, like, lax about, like, just leave everything in your bag, we'll let it go through. Like, all you need to is just put your, like, electronics and liquids, like, just make sure they're in a bag in your carry-on, and we'll just scan it and put it through. And, like, it wasn't super crowded either, so I was thinking they might, look into it a little more, but no. Whereas, like, Vegas, leaving, like, oh, they made me take out everything. Like, oh, you need to take out your big electronics, you need to, like, make sure, take off your shoes and everything. Like, just complete contrast between the two airports. And I was like, what's going on here? Because, like, at least pre-pandemic, there was some level, to me, of consistency between the airports of what they required. Post-pandemic now, it's like, it seemed kind of like a free-for-all. And I was like,
Well,
okay.
I would say to that, Vegas is the most heavily policed and armed city in the country. Like, it's more policed and armed than D.C. There's literally more police officers in that city per capita than anywhere else. So, like, they also have more flights going in from all over the country and the world.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's kind of like probably the most busy city in the country, up there with, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York. Probably bigger than any of those cities, actually.
Yeah, like, what have you two experienced,
Well,
Keenan and Amanda, like, traveling
Well,
wise?
I know that in 2002, I traveled to Vegas for the first time, and it was right after 9/11. And when we got off the
jeez.
plane, there were guys walking around with machine guns. Okay, like, I'm just saying they were military or police or something, but they had freaking machine guns. And my first time, I was like, "Is this normal?" you know?
I'm sure you were like, am I supposed to carry too? Like, what's going on here?
Being from Oklahoma,
Oh man.
So that's my Vegas experience.
Keenan, what about you? What has your experience been?
So I'm kind of weird. I'm more of a homebody. I'm always doing my studio work that I don't really have much time to travel. I've actually never been to Vegas as an of-age person. But I can tell you about one of my experiences going to England. So in England, the police are very different. They carry full machine guns. I don't think they're like AR-15s, but they're similar to them. They have like a whole rifle mount and an underslung mount, and they're pretty intense over there. And from what I can gather, like, there's also a lot of other things going on that make travel weird. Like you have CCTVs, which are the closed circuit TVs. It's like you're walking around in public and you see all these cameras. It's like, oh, there's the eye in the sky, watching everything you do. Better not pick your nose in public.
I feel like that's the least of your worries, picking your nose in public.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's kind of a trip. But yeah, it's not even just like I don't want to segue too much, but it's not only just that traveling has become more intense, largely because, like Amanda said, 9/11 increased the protocol, and then of course COVID has increased, the paranoia. But I think the security state, like the concept of a security state, has become more in your face. I think it was more innocuous, where you would expect, some amount of this security, and yes, it's for your safety and so on and so forth. But, I remember hearing people making sharp complaints around the 9/11 era when, the Homeland Security Act was passed, and now it's increasing even more. And, there's lockdowns. There's the whole thing where you're laid over for 2 weeks if you travel. I had a friend who went to the Philippines. He's a coworker, to visit his parents. He has to be in quarantine for 2 weeks when he gets to the Philippines to visit his parents. Then he can visit them. And then before coming back into the United States, he has to be in quarantine again. So just to visit his parents for a couple of weeks, he has to spend a month in lockdown on either end. So those kinds of bookends really... it's a weird kind of, they call it a chilling of free speech when you can't say what you want, but no one's overtly telling you that. I think it's a form of chilling on travel and free expression. It's not overt, but everyone feels it creeping in.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because the quarantine aspect definitely has played a role in it. And like I've definitely felt, at least personally for me, that definitely did play into my reluctance to want to travel for a little while, was the fact that I was like, if I go on a long trip, how long am I actually going to have to quarantine if something happens? Because I had friends that, for example, went to Taiwan and they had to quarantine like here and Taiwan. And I'm like, when they came back to the U.S., also had to quarantine because, because of the regulations. And in their case, also somebody actually did get COVID there, so that played even more into it. And I'm like, I get it to a certain extent, of course, but at the same time, there's a hypocrisy to me, because the airlines, instead of sticking to the code that they, or the regulate, or the basically like the kind of informal pack they had done at first, where they weren't going to pack all the seats, now it's again like, oh, every seat is packed, like regardless of everything. It was hell to, even for me, like get a seat on the budget airline I was going on. And I'm like, bro, I thought because of COVID and everything it was gonna be easier, but in fact it was the opposite.
Hey, I got one for Amanda. So Amanda, do you travel with a comfort companion, like a comfort dog or anything like that?
I have a registered service dog. He's a husky. He has not been on a plane. I have not traveled with him yet, besides in a car. So.
I don't know if you guys heard about the story about the woman who was traveling with a companion squirrel. It was yeah, she had a little pet squirrel, and it was like in her purse. And she has this purse in her lap with this squirrel. And if I was sitting next to her, I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
You don't understand. I am the squirrel lady. I love squirrels, and I want one as a pet. I actually looked into how to get one.
Oh, wow.
And a few years ago, you could...
Right? That's freaking nuts.
Right? But so I looked it up online, and there was a place in Texas that would send you a squirrel in the mail, except, I swear, except to California, and there was like one other state that they couldn't mail into. But they have since changed that, and you have to pick it up yourself.
Of course, it's Texas. Why am I not surprised?
Squirrel in a
Texas or
box.
Florida.
Is there like a bar that you can pick these squirrels up? Buy them a couple drinks.
No, but so you have to bond with them once you get them. They're like little, and you have to like play with them and carry them in a pouch for the first 8 weeks.
Oh my God, that sounds like
I was
some
so ready
weird
to do that and to
sex
build it a little
fetish.
playground.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really interesting thing you bring up, Keenan, because honestly, and this is gonna be a hot take from me. So sorry, listeners, this gets annoyed, but you know who you are, okay? That you register service animals, and they're not actually service animals. They don't actually provide any form of comfort. So you know who you are out there. Calling out my own cousin for this too. There's plenty of people out there that do that.
That's
so.
me.
And that takes away from the licenses of people that actually need it. So guess what?
Yeah, you know what?
All they want is
Those-
money.
That is
Those
true.
people-
That is true.
Hang
So
on.
if anything, you're just taking advantage of a loophole that's there. So I
But it's
will.
not- What, I take him into a restaurant? Or into stores? The only place that has asked me for his registered card, is when we took him to the zoo.
Wow. Then they're really not doing what they're supposed to. Then so yeah, again, you're taking that.
I don't-
If
I can get it though about the zoo because they don't want you bringing an animal in that can get the other animals sick. That's actually there's zoonostenosis. I actually worked so this is kind of gross. I used to work at a pet store. I used to work at a pet store, PetSmart,
Okay.
and every couple of days they would do this thing called fluffing, where they would open up the hamster cages, and it's this giant glass wall, and there's 2 locks on the top, and it comes out on rollers. So you stick the 2 keys in, you unlock it, and you pull it out on these rollers, and then you lift up the lids and you take out all the bedding, right? And so you have to take the bedding out because they'll poop in the bedding, and then the bedding molds and it creates all of this nasty spores. But they also have to filter out the wood chips and everything. So I got the nastiest zoonostenosis infection. It's a zoological virus. It comes from animals, usually small animals, and it's related to their fecal matter. And I got it from just working as a cashier, other side of the PetSmart, probably 50 feet away from the cages, and it just got into the air and was circulating in the air whenever they would clean them out. And I got the worst lung infection. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. My throat swelled up. It's just gnarly.
wow, that sounds
sad.
absolutely disturbing.
I was excited about working in a pet store.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. The only way I'm excited in working in a pet store is if I'm the guy euthanizing the dogs.
I hear we have viewers. Hi, viewers.
Hey viewers,
Glad you're here with us.
What's going on? Glad to have you on board. We're right now talking, in case you weren't already tuned in, we're talking about the aspects of traveling. Specifically, right now we're in the topic of service animals. And I just delivered a very hot take, and we've got a bunch of different opinions on it, so I love it. And
if you guys have an opinion, we have chat tied in.
Yes,
so go ahead
please.
and make a comment on your Facebook feed, and we'll see it here live.
That's a great idea, Paul.
right, that's the omniscient voice of Paul Brumbaugh coming in. So guys, make sure you listen. Please comment. Let me know how dumb you think I am.
I have a quick story about the very last time I traveled. I was coming home from Oklahoma from my daughter's high school graduation, and I got kicked off the plane.
Oh, what?
First time in
Wait,
my
what?
entire life I'd been kicked off a plane. Now, reason being that so it was me and my friend Nikki, and we were already on the plane, and we were at one of the last ones to get boarded. They decided I was too drunk. Now, I'd had 1 glass of wine. I did trip on the way down the walk ramp to the plane, but that's just me. I'm a klutz, and I was wearing boots that I can't, fell, got right back up, and was fine. Yeah, I think it was awesome, honestly, because the plane was overbooked and they needed other people on there. So they kicked me and my friend off.
Oh, so they just look for an excuse. I see.
I feel
okay.
like that's really what happened because I was not drunk.
Wow, that is really number one shady.
Right. But I had one glass of wine, but
I mean, you're not the only one that drinks it for a flight. Let's be real here. Like, I've seen people drink way more than one glass
Right.
before they go on a plane. Like, that's not an uncommon phenomenon.
so
Mine's like
I
a
would-
3-drink minimum and a Percocet. So
I would say that the big thing there is the overselling of tickets. I constantly run into that with any kind of ticket vendor whatsoever. But yeah, I feel like if the airline oversells the ticket. See, something like this happened to my dad, where he was driving across country when my sister moved to Virginia to start her career at law school. So she's going to school right now, and she's doing all of that, and she needed a car on the East Coast. So they drove the Subaru across country, crazy 7-day marathon. And my dad has to fly back, and they did all this shenanigans. And first they were like, "Oh, we're going to cancel, and we're going to give you a hotel room." And then they informed him when he got to the hotel that they had actually booked it at a different location. And so the first hotel he didn't have a booking at. Then the second one he didn't have a booking at.
Oof.
Calls him up the third time, and they say, "Oh, we have a new flight for you." And so he actually flew in a day early than expected, but just like, I don't know, I feel like every time they do a transfer, they should have to either pay you or offer you some kind of mileage rewards or something.
something.
Yeah. I mean, like the last trip I went on, this was the Vegas trip. Like, I mean, granted, I was on a budget airline with Spirit, so that plays partly into this.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, like, they came up with one of the worst excuses I've ever heard for a two plus hour delay on a flight, which was at first it was, oh, our what was it? It was one of the assistants is running late. Like, so we're going to be late by 40 minutes on the flight. And I'm like, okay, fine. That happens. Like, people run late, they hit traffic. Okay. So we get to that 40-minute mark, and then all of a sudden another announcement comes on like 10 minutes later. We're all wondering, like, we're sitting at the gate wondering, like, what's going on? Like, we were supposed to board by now. They're like, oh, so guys, I'm sorry, but the captain's running late, and he's running late by like over an hour. So we're just gonna have to sit here and wait. And I'm like, wait, what? Like I literally asked the lady, I'm like, is this a joke? like, and she's like, no, it's not a joke, sir. And I'm like, well, like, what are we supposed to do here? Like, we just sit here for forever waiting for the captain? Like, why can't the new crew come in? And I was like, and I think this is part of because they're a budget airline. They're probably not as, well contingent. They don't have as good of contingency plans probably as some of the bigger airlines and everything. But I was like, you got to be kidding me. And like, no apology, nothing. Like, and the only thing, of course, was their token response, which, again, I don't blame the people working there because they're not the ones that make these decisions ultimately. But part of it is the etiquette, too, the way you deliver the message. And, like, I feel like the message was delivered very emotionlessly, which I was like, you could at least be a little sympathetic towards us. Like, we're sitting here for 2 hours, plus hours, like,
Did you get in trouble for
and,
that,
like,
though?
I don't know, Amanda. That's a great question. I really don't know because in this case, like, I was actually pissed off because this affected my work schedule. And I'm like, normally I wouldn't be, but I'm like, at a certain point, like certain things you do are on the whims of these airlines, like to make sure that their schedule is going the right way. And it's like, and the icing on the cake was they were supposed to offer free Wi-Fi, and until we get on the plane, they don't say, and we're in the air, they don't say, oh, the Wi-Fi's not working. I'm like, wow, thank you so much. I literally started clapping on the plane.
You should have said, I'm out of here. Where's the nearest door?
I was like, I literally started sarcastically clapping on the plane. I remember to the point that like one of my friends was like, stop, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep clapping. Like this is absolutely hilarious for me.
There's a comedian, and I can't forget who it is. I think it's Louis C.K., and he talks about it was the first time he had ever heard, because he's constantly on flights going back and forth. And he goes, this is the first time I had ever heard that you could actually take your device and connect to their Wi-Fi without, like, messing up the radio signals, right? And he goes, Like they literally the onboard announcements were, "Hey, we got Wi-Fi. You guys log in. Here's your login stuff, and we'll, enjoy your flight." And then like 5 minutes later, sorry, we're having a problem with the Wi-Fi. Some guy lost his shit. He lost it because it's like, oh my God. And it was like it was his God-given right. Like it was given to him when he had been born, not like 30 seconds before when they said, hey, this is new and experimental. Check this out. But I forget how Louis C.K. said it. But basically, it's like, really? You're going to lose it because you didn't have it a minute ago, and now you're going to throw a tantrum like a little kid not getting a toy in the middle of Toys R Us.
That's today's society.
That is.
Instant gratification society.
Oh.
So, travel.
Yeah, travel, right? A lot of different aspects to it. So, some of it we've covered. I'd be interested to hear what some of the listeners, the viewers have gone through too with travel. So please do, comment what you all have gone through. Keenan, you're about to come in with something, please.
Yeah, I got one. I got one.
I got one.
Let's see. So I can name 2 places I want to visit for sure. And then maybe the people who are watching can put in the chat where they want to go visit. But I don't know about you guys, but if there's like a bucket list place you want to go to.
Oh, heck
right?
yeah.
All right. Let's go with Amir. Let's go to Amanda, Paul, you guys.
Okay.
Okay, Amanda, you want to kick it off?
My bucket list would be Australia. I don't know, but except all the deadliest animals in the entire world are there.
That is true.
On land, in the water, in the air,
I like that. In the air, in the water, in the air. I mean, they're everywhere.
On land, they're just
yeah.
They're everywhere. All the deadliest animals are there, and I still think that would be a really cool place to go. I don't know if there's much to see there, but
there's a lot to see.
I've never been out of the United States, so.
I mean, the Great Barrier Reef is there.
See, I don't even know what's there.
Yeah, so I mean, you got a lot of nice natural wildlife there. I mean, they've got great. If you like tennis, some of the best tennis courts are there too. Good golf courses too.
None of that.
Okay.
Actually, Alaska. I want to go to Alaska because I could see myself living there, out in the woods and living off the land type thing.
And I think with me, it depends on what do you mean by bucket list on where I'm traveling. Is it because it's fun, because of the scenery, because of whatever?
There.
Like I'd love to go back to the Caribbean, just not during hurricane season.
Right.
Yeah, that
right.
sounds actually pretty cool.
I would love to go somewhere else. I love the islands. I love the water. So I always want to be by the water. I want to be by the sun. And I do like the mountains. So I like nature. And see, like even you said Alaska. I'm like, oh, Alaska.
Right.
But I might run into Palin, so that scratches it off the list. And so
she's out in the wilderness.
That's another bucket.
Are you gonna see Russia from your house?
Yeah, I can see it already from here.
Okay, now I'm not sure I want to live that close to Russia in these days. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, because you can see it from there. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And then the other reason. Okay, so then is it fun that you want to go there? So again, the Caribbean for things like Jamaica, but I also want to go to Amsterdam.
Ooh, that would be see.
See,
I knew you would say Amsterdam.
I like their coffee.
Yes.
Coffee.
yeah. For those that can't see, he's putting it in.
We're on. No, I'm in the little corner of each one of your screens. So if you think I'm doing like sign language to tell you what they're saying, I'm not. I'm just talking with my hands.
Yeah.
So I'm there.
Exactly. One for me, personally, a place that I'd really like to go. I've been really wanting to go to Japan and see it, just because like I'm into anime. Like I like anime and art and stuff, and architecture. And Japan has some of the best in terms of all those categories. And I'm just also really interested in seeing also actually their transportation. Like I've heard Japan is light years ahead of where we are in terms of their transportation ecosystem. And I've seen pictures. And I just really want to go and experience it for myself and see sort of what it's like. Because I've been on the East Coast, on their transportation systems, like New York especially. And comparatively, I mean, it is better than here. Granted, BART has improved. I have to give it some credit, but at the same time, like, I feel like parts of the rest of the world are just way, way, way ahead of the U.S.
I feel like it's kind of boring that you just want to go to see their transportation system.
Oh no! I started with that, or I started with the architecture and the manga and the art.
The death forest where all the people go, the suicide, they go to die.
Yeah, but that's
what I.
That's so depressing, though.
They made a movie about that.
They did, but that's just so depressing, though. I feel like I'm gonna be like, cry if I go there. Then, and I'm gonna be like, I don't want to go on a trip to cry.
I'd rather go there than.
Okay, so what we got to do is we got to go to Japan with Amir. We got to get him super drunk, and then we got to just drop him off in the woods there.
Oh my God! Are you gonna like? Is this gonna be like a what is it called? Like Cabin in the Woods story, or like one of these like horror movies where you're gonna send me in there to like to experience it and to scare the shit out of me?
Yes.
What the hell was the one? What was it? The Rite or the Ritual was
the Ritual? Yeah, the one we saw.
Yeah, in the Norwegian woods.
Yeah, that's the one that we saw. Yeah,
that one too.
That one was crazy.
All right, we do have some comments on social media.
Oh, nice.
Luke says hi to everybody.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, Luke. What's up?
All right, and then we have KJ Smith for a couple of them. KJ Smith says, "What is the most interesting thing you've ever had confiscated from the TSA?"
Ooh, that is. I have a funny one on that one.
Do you? Okay, cool. The funniest thing.
It involves my friend and I. So we were going on a trip. This was years back, pre-pandemic. We had gone on a Costa Rica trip for our AP biology class, and my friend had bought Burger King at the airport, and for some reason the one of the guys, the drug sniffing dogs, and the guard came by, and the dog came up to the bag, like thinking it was, and so the guy naturally thought it was drugs. It was like about to pull us over, and like my friend and I are both freaking out, and I'm like, dude, just show him what's in the bag. That it's just like a burger and stuff. The dog probably got hungry, and like sure enough, like we take out the stuff, and we're like, dude, we'll literally open our whole suitcase so you can see we don't have drugs or anything. And like the guy was like, no, you don't have to do that. The dog just probably got like this, but he ended up taking the bag. Like I was like, bro, you could have at least left the bag, man. Like, just takes the bag, like it as like compensation for time or whatever. And I didn't say anything because I'm not gonna get into it with a guard at an airport over Burger King. I'm like, we'll just go get a new Burger King.
He needed lunch.
I guess that was that was by far the funniest, the weirdest one. Like I was laughing with my friend. We were laughing about that. Still to this day, when I bring it up with him, we laugh.
Is there anything else that you guys want to add in for what was the funniest thing you ever had confiscated from the TSA?
I have nothing ever.
Nothing ever.
My
dignity.
I guess that wasn't. I guess that wasn't technically TSA, but I'm gonna count it just because again, like it has to do with the security of the airport. So.
Can I say virginity? Sorry. These are things I think about when the lights go out, folks. All right. Next question from KJ Smith. What's wrong with penguins, Paul? Why did I disparage penguins? I don't remember disparaging penguins. I don't remember. I don't have a hatred for penguins.
I heard you're scared of them.
I'm afraid of birds. Foul. They're foul. That's what I say. I have no problem with birds.
You remember the episode of Futurama? They go to the ice planet, and the penguins are overpopulating the planet. And Leela's like, "Oh, we gotta save the penguins. We gotta save the environment." And then the government comes out and says, "Oh yeah, the penguins are causing global warming, and they're gonna put the planet into a global catastrophe. We have to kill all the penguins." And Bender just starts going around shooting all the penguins. Ah, man, that's just like that kind of thing. It right there. What do you got a problem with penguins? Yeah, man, just go out and shoot the penguins.
Oh, and the reason I guess KJ just tuned in or just chimed in, I couldn't go to Alaska because of the penguins. No, I didn't say. I said, what's her name? What's her face?
Palin.
Oh, Palin.
Palin, not penguins. Palin. Another bad P word.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. She could be mistaken for a penguin, though.
And then Luke out of nowhere says, what kind of shampoo do you all use? That's on the next episode.
Real quickly,
that'll take an hour.
I have this purple shampoo because I'm blonde now.
It depends. Am I washing my balls or washing my hair?
Oh.
Honestly, for me, it also sort of depends if I'm honestly. It's funny because it depends if I'm traveling or not. Because if I'm traveling, I have a 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. If I'm not, I use them separate. So
you pack
it
days
depends.
beforehand, don't you? Are you one of those people?
I used to not be. I am now, but I used to not be. No, I used to be very spontaneous and bad about packing for trips. Actually, that's another part of traveling we didn't talk about is how are you about preparing for trips, each of us? Because I used to be horrible. Keenan, what about you?
Dude, I used to live in a car at one point, so I'm used to just slumming it.
Oh, so you wing it too. Amanda?
Yeah.
I would pack ahead of time, but I never know what I'm going to want to wear, and it's normally I need options, and so yeah, I just throw stuff in the bag beforehand. But I'm pretty good about making sure I have things that or not having things in the bag that will get me in trouble. I more have issues with the weight. Sometimes I have to take things out.
Yeah, or redistribute.
Because I've already met the limit. And, like, you know, maybe throw it into my purse if I can or whatever, so I can just take it on the plane with me.
It's funny. I saw some girls doing that at the Vegas flight at Vegas airport too, redistributing between their 2 bags. Like I hadn't seen that since like pre-pandemic when I traveled, so it got me chuckling a bit. I'm like, oh yeah, this still happens today. I forgot this is a common thing.
Yeah, I just take too much.
Paul?
No, I was reading more comments.
What are the comments?
Okay.
Oh, no, somebody was asking me a personal question. That's why I didn't read it.
Oh.
They were asking me if I'm really wearing a jester costume to my show on Wednesday because I posted a picture of me wearing a jester costume.
Well, are you?
I'm probably going to do what I did last year, which is I'm going to have 3 different costumes, and in between people, I'm literally going to switch out every time. And so...
I agree with that. That's a great idea, and you should do it.
You know, I'm starting to really worry about you. This is more of an intervention. You're really letting yourself go to skin and bones.
You know?
I've been dying to say that.
He's just saving that like all episode, I could tell.
Yeah,
So can I say that this dress is what I was wearing many years ago, the very first time I stepped into this studio space under a different name, which we shall not name, and with Luke.
With Luke.
With Luke.
Shout out
who's
to
watching
Luke.
Hi, Luke. And for me to step back into the studios now, this Edge Studios, thank you, I think it was fitting. I didn't even realize it until I was on my way here. I think it's funny.
And it's weird that you did that. So was it because it was both in October?
No, I don't think so, honestly. I know I had a pink wig on, too. I just like the dress.
Okay. All right. I won't take it personally. That's what you wore the first time in this space. No, but that's good. I'm glad that you're back in this space.
Heck yeah.
Now that we've exorcised the demons, how do you feel?
It's very nice.
Isn't it? It's very nice. I see the smile. That tells it all.
Just the building or the spaces. I don't. It's not an aura, but you know, just the.
Yeah, it is an energy. It is
right?
an aura.
The energy of the studio is totally different.
Right.
And it's a positive one.
Oh my gosh. That's one of the adjectives we love around here. That's almost the word of the day. Positive.
Yeah, actually going off that too. That's another thing that this is the last thing I think I'll say for traveling. Unless Keenan, you want to add one more thing on traveling. But in terms of actually bringing on that energy topic, I feel like when you travel with certain people, this is going to have to do with the people you travel with. I feel like the energy people bring plays a big role in how the trip actually commences, like from the beginning to end. Like the best example I could think of is like going on trips with your friends versus going on trips with your family. Like, at least I don't know about the listeners, I don't know about all of you, but I know like with my family, like, oh man, there will be some trips where if it's like a short trip, it's just fine. But if it's a longer trip, by the end, we're just like, it's chaos. It's just like, oh my God, everybody like has drama with this person. Then you find out later that, oh, this happened. And I'm just like, dude, like all this negative energy, man. Like, whereas like with friends, like, yeah, sometimes, yeah, you have drama that can occur sometimes, but usually things get hashed out by the end, like most of the time. And then like, you know, most of the time people are pretty positive and like happy going because like, you know, they want to travel and like want to have a good time with their friends and like, you know, just kick back, relax. So I don't know, like I feel like there's like the energy plays a big role. How do you all feel?
So I think that, yes, I agree. The last trip I went on, I took a friend with me to a family thing, and you know, we had issues, and I was like not going to back down because this was for my family thing, you know, and it's my way. You came with me, but we're still friends. Like we had to like just chill
Set
for
boundaries.
a minute, but we are still great friends. You know, like, yeah, it does matter who you travel with. Yeah.
With me, I think it's I've said this before and I'll say it again, is that I wish when I was working, you know, whatever, 50 hours a week every week, that on vacation I could get 3 weeks a year. The first would be with, let's say, my family. The second one would be just me and my wife. The third one would be me and leave me the fuck alone.
Why can't you go?
Yeah, not even my wife. No, yeah. And she can keep my phone. She can keep all my devices. I literally just want to unplug.
Away from your wife.
From everybody. I literally want to go into a deprivation.
How's she gonna know you're alive then?
You
Well.
officially just got married recently. Let's
See,
see
you
how that
can't,
actually
see, you
works.
can't
There's
even
that.
answer that.
Let's get an update on that after.
I'm being asked by KJ Smith, is that a furry chair or funny chair that Amanda's sitting in, or is that a jacket?
It is a jacket.
So there you go.
It's a fashion statement is what it is.
Right. And then,
Keenan, what about you?
Oh man, the last family trip we did was to Ireland, and my sister came along, and to keep things like relatively PC, she's not on the best terms with the rest of the family, but when you spend about 15 grand to fly across the globe to Ireland to go track down like your extended relatives from before Sinn Féin and the IRA revolution in 1918, you know, you're flying out to go track down the family. And we were able to find the old family farm and our extended relatives out there. They own a dairy farm. But if you're out there on a trip to do something like that with the family, I think, speaking to the point about energy, I think like you kind of have to set aside your personal nonsense and just be willing to go a little bit more with the flow. And you know, that trip ended kind of poorly. As it sounds ominous as it was being described, but you know, it was unfortunate, but I would also say I had a really good time with my folks and you know, being what it was. What I would say though is I think the real part of the trip is not just going someplace with your family, but just like to the point you were saying, Amir, like, you know, everyone says this or that about each other, and then you find out all this drama and nonsense. It's about negotiating that and working with your family. And I think maybe the one reason why it's a little bit harder when you travel with family is because, like, you can say shit to your family that you really can't say to your friends because there's a certain point where your friends stop being your friends. I think with family, like, no matter how bad it gets, they're still your family.
Stuck with you.
well, it's the old adage: you can pick your family, but you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family, and you can pick your nose. What was that you were going?
Pick your you can't pick your
friend's nose.
There you go. I was like, wait, hold on. She has to give me cue cards. Hold on. And I'm a comedian that can't remember a joke from like 1902. Sorry, guys.
God. But yeah, the flip side of that though is blood of the covenant. You know, blood of the covenant is thicker than the blood of the womb. You know, I
He's looking over to his cue cards. Give him a moment, Amanda. Hold on.
No, but I mean, I would say like there are some friends that I would consider like family as well, where I've said some shitty things to them and they've kind of made amends with me and vice versa. It's hard. It's always hard navigating that. It's just the human energy, and that personal investment that you put into the other people and trying to make it work. You know, like
I've had bad vacations with a lot of people. It doesn't matter if you're family or friends, but you have to go back and live with your family for the most part. And so, yeah, and that's always the hardest one. So, like, I just spent a week in Chicago, and that was great. But towards the end of the week, it was starting to get harder because there was a lot of family, and everybody's needs weren't being met all the time. That's for darn sure, right? And so you all have to hug each other and walk away and then come back and do it again. You have to do that with your friends, but sometimes you can let it all hang with your friends and tell them, hey, you're being a pain in the beep. Hey, whoa, got sensors.
But if you can't be honest with your friends, then, are they really your friend?
Well, that's what I mean, is that you can be honest and tell your friends this sucks. And with your family, sometimes you kind of
Grit your teeth.
grit your teeth or grin and bear it or whatever. And it's,
because as you said, at the end of the day, like, you're probably going to have more gatherings. You're probably going to have to, do more things, like, so chances are, like, whatever you say, it's probably going to come back to bite you at some point.
All right,
like,
I got one to tie this off.
Okay.
All right, so when I was a kid, I grew up going to Lake Shasta, and sometimes we call her Shasty, but it's out in Redden County. And we'd go onto this little fucking shitbox, sweatbox of a fucking houseboat. It's like a fucking RV on pontoons. It's like the most redneck thing you can fucking do.
Love it.
And it's hilarious because my dad grew up on it. And there's this area outside of Shasta called Camper Flats. And it's a bunch of old cement pads. And the rattlesnakes nest there. So you can like walk past it and you'll see these little coils, these brown coils. Those are rattlesnakes that are sunbathing on the cement pads. We used to throw rocks at them. And there'd just be just dozens of them, That's what we did as kids. But we'd fucking hang out on this little sweat box, and it was this tiny, tiny little pontoon houseboat. And you'd be in the houseboat. It would be 3 o'clock, and it would be 107 degrees outside. There's no AC because the generator died. And because the Jenny died, there's no power or anything at all in the houseboat at all. So, like, we had this tiny little VHS playing screen. It was, like, I think 8 inches diagonal. So it's just this tiny little box, like an old Macintosh. And we used to watch, like, old Disney movies on it, like Aladdin and the Little Mermaid or whatever. And that power would go out. And the second the power would go out, my dad would just start grumbling because he knew me and my sister would start fighting. And as soon as the power went out, he'd have to go outside in the 107-degree sun, crack open the engine lid, and like rebuild the Jenny, like jump start the belt drive, because it would always get caught up. And he'd have to be out in the sun, otherwise we'd start fighting again. And those were our vacations for like the better part of like almost 2 decades. Just this tiny little raft. And you had to sit out there and hang out. But it was fun because in the afternoons we'd go water skiing. We could go swimming, obviously, all day long. And, my dad would just drink beer and barbecue, and we'd have barbecue chicken. It was a low-key vacation. We didn't have a lot of money, but that was a lot of fun when we could do things like that. And, those are the vacations I remember the best. And getting a fish hook stuck in my arm and shit like that.
Fish hook stuck in your arm. Oh my gosh, you had a good time. Yeah, those small vacations honestly can be some of the most memorable too. One of the ones I can remember is the first time I went up to Lake Tahoe with family. Like, that was such a fun trip. We drove up in multiple cars, including like my dad's old minivan. R.I.P. the minivan, and my uncle at that point had a truck too, and like, it was such a fun trip. Like, it was snowing, like we got to go hang out in the snow, my cousins and we all like bunkered together. Like, yeah, that will definitely always be one of the most like fun trips I remember too, is that small trip, the first one to Lake Tahoe.
For me, I grew up in Oklahoma, and there were lakes. Everyone goes to the lakes during the summer. We didn't really take family trips, but we always went to the lake and camping. and it wasn't really camping because there was bathrooms with showers, you know. It's not like we were out in the boonies with no one around.
So was it the precursor to glamping, you're saying?
Kind of. I mean, but my mom would pack everything. I mean, she would even have like a sewing kit. Like if she thought we might need it, we had it, and they had the stove, the food from camping, and I love that. I miss that.
Wow. So raised my kids, but my wife was there when we went camping with all my kids. I had 4 of them that I raised, and they were really young. I think everybody was for sure under 10. The 30-year-old was probably 10 and under. And we went up to Portola State Park, which is right above us in Woodside Hills. Went there, and it was an adventure in its own just because it was fun. It was the kids' first time really camping or doing anything like that. And then we had raccoons and possibly a bear take all of our food in the middle of the night as we watched in horror from the tent.
Huh.
And so that was probably the most interesting trip because it was the kids. They were young. And I remember even my daughter at the time just like, I want to go home. I want to go home. There's raccoons out there. They're wearing masks. They're like, no, they're not.
Paul, do you have video of that by chance? The bear taking
Right.
the bear
Because it
taking
would actually
food?
be a YouTube
I really-
video. I
know. Cause like that one TikTok video. I saw a TikTok video. It's funny you bring that up of like, you know, this lady and this guy, and like literally that's what happened. The bear got in the cabin and started like ransacking the food, and they were like, "What do we do right now? Do we like how do we get this bear out? Should we even try, or should we like, you know, just wait till the bear like leaves, like, you know, because the door was still open enough for the bear to be able to go out, but." And the cub was there. That was the other issue. Was they're like, okay, we can't do anything because it's gonna protect the cub and go crazy. Then so they had to wait, and eventually once the cub was out, they made the other bear, you know, the mama bear go out too, like making a lot of noise. But it just that reminds me of that because I was laughing as I watched that, but I also felt bad because I'm like, what would I do? I'd probably also be freaking out and be like, it's a bear.
It's a bear.
What are you doing watching TikTok? You know it's going to turn your brain to mush. I refuse. Like, people just immediately start watching it, and then they're hooked.
Have you watched it?
I helped make a couple of videos for it, and I saw...
But you didn't but nobody's ever handed you it and let you
I don't want
sprain
to.
your thumb.
Hey, Amanda, I can officially say, okay, I've never made a TikTok video. You're ahead of me in that aspect.
But it wasn't I get addicted to things like that so easily. I refuse.
And the only reason I watch TikTok is because Keenan does all these dance videos.
Ah!
That's the one right there. He's doing the Frankenstein thing going on there.
Nice,
And that's the only reason I got hooked was that. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. If you all have, you know, experiences as well, viewers, please do comment. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the travel episode over here. You know, we covered a lot of different topics. Some more fun than others. Some more hot takes than others. And hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, from all of us, we'll catch you next time. Please do like and subscribe on the YouTube, and also be sure to like our Facebook page. And you know, until next time, take care. Peace out.
And don't forget to listen to us on edgestudiosonline.com.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Forgot one plug. So many plugs that I forgot.
It's okay.